Jeremy, San Diego SWOT here. Today we're going to cover what I carry in my 5-piece kit. Stay tuned. So by far the most important piece in my kit, I think, is my cutting tool. This meets all but one of my characteristics that I'm looking for, which are 4 to 5 inches in length of the blade, preferably full tang, meaning the height of the metal traverses the entire distance of the blade, or the handle. This one actually is a rat tail, so where it connects to the handle, it gets skinny. So needless to say, if you're going to put a lot of stress on the blade, like if you're batoning, then there's a high likelihood that if it is going to break, it's going to snap right at where it gets thin. I'm also looking for preferably high carbon steel, so that it's easier to sharpen in the bush. A nice 90-degree spine on the back of the edge of the knife, or the back of the knife, and that's so that I can get really good sparks off my ferro rod. I can do fuzz sticks, I can remove fibers and pulp from fibers, for example, if I'm preparing yucca. Also quickly removing bark from my arrow shafts and things of that nature. So yeah, I carry both a knife as well as a folding saw. By far my favorite, the Baco Laplander. I've been beating these things up for years without incident. And considering here in San Diego, I'm processing wood generally no wider than my wrist is. This is plenty for me, no need for an axe, and since I'm not in the jungle, I won't be carrying a machete out here. You can see I definitely want lots of space here, so when I'm batoning my piece, I can hit on the outside as opposed to the inside, whereas I could potentially injure my hand. So highly recommend a stainless steel water bottle, preferably 32 ounces, because the majority of the water treatment chemicals and tabs and things are based on a 32 ounce bottle. Also really like having the nesting pot, or the nesting cup. This allows me to more rapidly boil my water in this, as well as create char. And just having it metal, obviously I can boil in it, I can create char cloth in it, I can make my infusions and decoctions in this. So definitely recommend high carbon or stainless steel for your water bottle. So next thing on the list would be cordage. I carry 2 types of cordage. One would be paracord, basically 550 cord. This has both a kermantle sheath as well as 7 strands inside of it. Very often when you get the ones that are from the military, you'll see that on one of the strands it'll either be black or green. And do prefer the American made stuff. A lot of the foreign stuff seems to get twisted up inside of the kermantle and make it difficult to work with. But 550 pounds in total, 220 working pounds. Not only can you break these strands out to provide extra distance, but equally each one of these strands breaks down into 3 pieces as well. So great cordage right here. The other cordage I really like to carry is bank line, which is basically tarred nylon. This is number 36 bank line. You can get it in all different sizes and strengths. But this stuff's great for traps, primitive traps, also for trot lines to catch fish, and it doesn't stretch at all. So if I'm gonna make snares or maybe the bow drill fire, this is a really good cordage for that. And I also just like it for my general purpose bushcraft stuff. So another great cordage to have on hand. Again, definitely my preferred cordage other than wire cordage if I'm going to do any type of snaring in the bush. So obviously combustion's huge in the bush. Gotta use it for so many different things, for making your water potable, to keeping a positive mental attitude, to so many different things. So I wanted to show you what I carry from a fire perspective, or combustion. So needless to say, Bic, never leave home without it. Instant flame, right? Also, always carry a ferro rod. For the most cases, the bigger the better. There's a few like Light My Fire that do really good, even the small ones, but again, with the back of the knife with that nice sharp 90-degree edge, lots of sparks, right? So definitely like the ferro rod. So obviously each time you strike the ferro rod, each time you light a match, each time you light your lighter, you're expending a resource. So another great way to get combustion going without expending a resource is a magnification glass. At least 2.5 power ought to get the job done. So good one to practice with, as long as you got a little bit of sunshine. I do like to carry a Altoids tin with char cloth in it, and come to one of our fire skills classes or look at some of our other videos to learn about char cloth. And last but not least, one of the tinders that I always carry in the bush is fat wood, basically extremely resinous pine or spruce sticks. And this stuff, I can get a fire going in the rain and the snow in the harshest of conditions. So definitely like the fat wood. So one thing Steve turned me on to is these matches. You know, you see people trying to do waterproof matches with like Light My Fire matches, where they'll put some paper towels down and maybe wrap it in paper towels and then dip it in wax, things of that nature. But needless to say, if it gets wet after it's lit, you're toast, right? There goes your flame. However, these storm-proof matches have magnesium on the base of them, and even after I strike them and get them lit, I'm gonna drop them right here in the water, and bam, right back to a flame. So you can see these are great for adverse conditions. Last thing I wanted to cover is cover. And so there's a couple different things that you could carry into the bush for cover. I'll show you what I carry. First is a 3mm 55-gallon trash bag. Needless to say, trash bags are bomb in the bush for rain gear, for filling with litter, for a bed, for carrying materials back to your campsite. The list goes on and on. Collecting water off the landscape with transpiration bags. So highly recommend a trash bag or 3. Equally in this, I have a 5x7 tarp and a Mylar space blanket, one-time use space blanket. So this is a little bit smaller than the reusable space blankets, and I get more bang for my buck out of this, I believe. However, the other thing I do really like to carry, and maybe instead you might like to carry, is the reusable space blankets. So these obviously have the Mylar already in them, the shiny stuff for reflecting heat, and these things are reusable. I use them a lot just around the bush, around camping, when I'm out, especially when I'm spending a weekend out. So hopefully these things help. Go out there, get yourself some gear, and put in some dirt time, guys. Talk to you soon.